What's going on, people? Let's talk about shoes and, the media. So like TV shows, movies, that sort of thing, right? Now, it's always been a thing as far as I know, right? And I can't really speak on that because like I'm totally aware of it, but I do have friends and peers and things or whatever that talk about stuff, right? So what I'm saying is like when I was younger, like right, like in my single digit ages and such, I was only watching so much stuff, right? I was mostly like watching He-Man, and then when you move on to like my later years, like early 20s or whatever, I was actually that was when the 2000 series came around, so I was still mostly watching He-Man. And even honestly right now, as I think about it, I am currently waiting on the next season of a He-Man show to come out on Netflix. So I guess I've been watching a lot of He-Man for a long time, which is kind of weird in a way when you think about it. But either way, so a lot of people would tell me like, or they'll talk about it now, like, oh man, like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air and like the Wayans brothers show and like the Martin show, like he was always wearing this, they were always wearing that, all the different things that they would always have on, right? Now I watched those shows, right? But I watched with a very different set of eyes, okay? Because at that time, none of that stuff mattered to me. I was just like, oh, well, this is entertaining me, so I'll just watch it and be done with it. But other people would look at it and like, oh man, I remember that and I wanted to be like them and that's what got me into this and yada yada yada. As I, they could have not had feet at all and I would probably not have even noticed, right? So there is that. But anyways, what I did start to see, later on as I'm like buying things and whatever, and you start to notice what people are wearing in stores or whatever, because you say, oh, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But then you start seeing it on TV sometimes and it's like, oh wow, like these people have perhaps a similar interest to what I have, right? So like, actually I'll start with like Enzo Amore right there behind you, right? Yeah, so when he was on TV, like with like on Raw and stuff, I remember seeing him and like every Saturday, whatever, well, I guess there weren't always release Saturdays, but every time there was like a release Saturday coming up, at some point, like he got in good with like the Champs people, I think it was Champs anyways, and he would have on Monday Night Raw, he'd be out there wearing whatever was coming out. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool, It was nice. You get to see what it looks like on the feet and stuff, which is a lot of people out there are into that, right? At least according to like how the videos go as far as like where people are like watching and where they're not watching. But anyway, so that was a thing that I noticed. And then seeing him draw attention to things because he would sometimes say it and it's like, so I started looking at like some of the other wrestlers or whatever, and even you see like Kofi Kingston, he's been in the ring wrestling in various different models over the years and stuff. And I just like thought it was pretty cool, Also thought it was like mind blowing in a way how not because like, oh man, how can you go in there and get these things all creased up? I crease most things in the video, right? Well, then again, a lot of my stuff is like made of knits and such, so like creasing them isn't really possible. But either way, I go through the motions, especially in the Jordans and such. But I wasn't even looking at it like that. I'm just like, how is he so mobile in these things, right? I mean, I get they're made for like performance in the sense for like basketball and things of that nature, but he's over there like jumping around off ropes and doing all this other like gymnastic type stuff, And it was just crazy to me. And, the Young Bucks are in that same conversation too, right? Can't act like they aren't. Probably like one of the more prolific people doing that, But it was like the other guys that I saw first, like the Enzos, the Kofis or whatever, that brought that to my attention. So much so, in a way that like, I met Kofi Kingston at San Diego Comic-Con during his reign as like world champ. So that would have been 2018, right? And I remember talking to him and I was like, oh, hey, like, in your opinion, like, what do you think is like one of the most overrated or just ugliest shoes that's popular? And he's like, I believe his answer was like the Yeezy 700, And I was like, yeah, that is kind of terrible. But either way, right? So I saw that. And it was just kind of a thing that I was thinking about earlier. Because like now when I'm watching stuff, like sometimes it's almost distracting in a way. Because past whatever the plot might be, I'm like, oh, is he wearing the things like Seinfeld, like now that I know that he has worn various different things, from like that Hirachi video I did a while ago, I'll like be looking at different episodes and like, oh, is George wearing the Cortez? I used to be a fan of the Cortez, so I kind of noticed that. Or like whatever things, because I saw it later on in years and like just his comedians in cars, and I just noticed he had like really flashy colored shoes, same as like Dr. House on the show House, right? Saw like the colors and I thought that was cool, but again, even that was before, even House was before I was really even paying attention to this stuff, because I didn't start really branching out past like yearly Air Maxes until 2015, like middle 2015, you know. And so it's a thing that I noticed. But it kind of sucks is like when you look at some of those figures or some of those characters that didn't have figures, the figures don't really show the shoes, because I get it. I mean, there's like copyrights or laws or however that stuff works, but I do have some. I think I sent those to my mom, like some Run DMC Christmas figures. And I think it's either the Christmas figures from Super 7 or the Funkos from the Funko people. One of them actually has like Adidas, like with the 3 stripes and whatnot. So like, you know, they went the extra mile to do that. But then you look at that Enzo Amore figure that I keep bringing up so much, and he has like 12s on, you know, but they're like some Kmart 12. So like they've got like the same, like the black, like the little neon blue type of color, whatever that color is, you know. They have like the paint job, but it's definitely not the shoe. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's other people like that, but because I can't remember for sure, but I don't even think like the Spider-Man, like Miles Morales ones, I don't think he has his like actual Jordans on his figures and stuff. So there is that. And then as far as like movies go, I mean, I can't even get into that, right? Because I'm sure that if I was to go back right now and watch older things with like a different set of eyes or whatever, I'd be able to like pick out some things, maybe like certain models, whatever. Like I watched like maybe Above the Rim or Sunset Park or something. I might notice a few things that I like would never have noticed back then, because that's just how it is now. Same with how some people will watch like one of those NBA games, like is it like the holiday series games or something, where like people are always out there like, and they're often wearing like fancier shoes because like the games don't really matter as much. They're just like out there having fun. Maybe it's like something along with the dunk contest. I don't follow basketball, right? It shows. I don't think I needed to say that, but I'm gonna say it just so people know. But I know people like will watch that too, because they're like, oh, let's see what so and so's going to be wearing, or this guy's known for having this big collection. Let's see what he's wearing. So yeah, I can't get into that conversation, but if somebody's wearing something pretty cool on like wrestling, then I notice it. If it's in a movie or whatever, and then maybe, you know, depending. But like a lot of the movies I watch are just kind of like animated nonsense for kids or whatever. So, you know, it's like animals, you know, so it doesn't even matter. But it is something that I look at when I'm watching stuff. And it was just a thing that was on my mind because, like I said, sometimes it's kind of distracting in a way, like self-distracting, when I'm looking at a movie, or not a movie, like a TV show, and I'm like trying to figure out like what this guy has on, because like it keeps like, they show it a little bit, but he's just kind of like standing around like behind a desk, and I'm next thing you know, like wait, somebody's dead now? Like what happened to, what's going on with the plot? It's like, I don't know. But those are definitely Hirachis. I know that for sure now. It's one of those things. But either way, that's just something I brought up, or that came in mind, so I thought I'd bring it up, talk to the people about it, right? But feel free to, you know, keep the conversation going on down there. You know, that's all these things are, just me talking a little bit about some random things that don't matter a whole lot. But I think I'm good. So from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night. He-Man also, like when I was watching that, like the shoes he's wearing, I remember those super clearly, right? Very clearly. I could probably draw a pair right now, like almost perfectly. But like no other thing, like no other footwear from like when I'm younger, like stands out at all. Yeah, like none of it. Weird. But anyways, I interrupted myself. So I'm going to start that thing over. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, wherever you are. No He-Man outburst that time. I'll be back with some actual content at some point. I said I might be getting my brother some shoes in a video I recorded recently. Yeah, I went to go look at those after that video. Totally sold out, so that won't be happening. So I don't know when my next actual real review will be, but maybe you'll still be here when it comes around. We'll see what happens. Later, people.